let's move on to test 2, reading passage 2. You should spend about 20 minutes on questions 14 to 26, which are based on reading passage 2 below. Back to the Future of skyscraper design. Last time you did that already, and we already fixed that one. Now I'm going to help you to explain all of the questions here, but you make sure you understand everything. Okay. Now let's start with question 14, number 14, yeah? Which section contains the following information? Okay, so here they say, reading passage 2 has 9 sections from A to I. So which section contains the following information? Write the correct letter A to I in boxes 14 to 18 on your answer sheet. And number 14, Nhi, go. Yes, why some people avoided hospitals in the 19th century. So where can we find the answer for this? Because here they say they have 9 sections, right? So which one? Okay, so number 14, the answer is F, right? Okay, now you can write F there. Yeah. Why some people avoided hospitals in the 19th century? The answer is in section F. Okay, where's that? Mm-hmm.
Was believed to be the main driver of hospital fever, leading to disease and frequent death. The answers clear of hospital.
What? The last 3 sentences and the last sentence? Okay, foul air rather than germs was believed to be the main driver of hospital fever, leading to disease and frequent death. The prosperous steered clear of hospitals. Okay. Now explain it to me. Why this is the answer for number 14? Why? Someone else, please. The prosperous, what does that mean? Yeah, the rich. So that means some people, right? Some people avoided hospitals. Avoided means steer clear of hospitals, okay? Okay, and that is in the 19th century. Why is that? Because here we can see they say what? No, you cannot just say from foul air, because from that one I can't see the 19th century, right? So we need to read a little bit above that. right? So where should we start? At least somewhere like miasmas were feared as the principal agents of disease and epidemics for centuries and were used to explain the spread of infection from the Middle Ages right through to the cholera outbreaks in London and Paris during the 1850s. Because during the 1850s, that is in the 19th century, okay? And also from the beginning, you see something like much of the ingenuity present in the 19th century hospital and building design was driven by a panic public, blah blah, okay, toxic air that spread disease, something like that. So you can see the 19th century there, and I here foul air rather than germs was believed to be the main driver of hospital fever, leading to disease and frequent death. The prosperous, that means the rich, steer clear of hospitals. That means they try to avoid hospitals. They didn't want it to come there. They didn't want it to come to the hospitals. Okay, and the reason is what? You can here say why some people avoided hospitals, right? That means that we can see the reason. So what is the reason for that? Leading to disease and frequent death. What is that? Because if you just read leading to disease and frequent death, it's not clear. That's not a reason. What is causing that, or what was causing that? Yeah, so we can see something, like here they say foul air rather than germs was believed to be the main driver of hospital fever. I mean, this one is the key reason why, which causes hospital fever, leading to disease and frequent death. So that's the reason why the rich, they try to avoid it. They try to avoid hospitals, or they try to stay away from hospitals. Okay. Yeah, so you can mark that one and you can write number 14. You can mark from miasmas, or actually the whole paragraph, yes. Mark that one until hospitals, and you can write number 14 there. All right, next one. So let's move on to number 15. Yes. Please speak louder, guys. All of you, please speak louder. The suggestion that the popularity of tall buildings is linked to prestige. What is the answer for this? C. Okay, you can write C there. No, wait. Okay, now Can you please explain that one? The statement. What does that mean? I don't think that the other people can really hear you. Guys, các bạn cố gắng nói lớn lên giùm thầy một chút xíu. Tại vì các bạn không phải giải thích cho thầy nghe. Thầy biết hết rồi. Thầy không cần các bạn giải thích. Các bạn nhớ chuyện đó. You understand? Thầy không cần các bạn giải thích cho thầy nghe. Thầy cần các bạn giải thích cho các bạn khác nghe. Huy với Hương ngồi dưới nghe bạn Hương như này nói cái gì không? Yes or no? Yes? Còn bạn Hương thì nói no. Đâu bạn Huy nghe bạn Quỳnh Hương nói đâu giải thích lại coi. Bạn Quỳnh Hương mới nói gì? Right, a suggestion that the popularity, that means that here from, if the answer is C, if the answer is C, that means that when you read section C, you will see something like a suggestion or like a statement or whatever. They say that the popularity of tall buildings is linked to prestige. That means that yes, the fame of tall buildings or skyscrapers, okay, is linked to prestige. Do you understand the meaning of the word prestige? What does that mean? Guys, tell me. That means the respect and admiration. Okay, respect and admiration. You can write it down. Respect and admiration given to someone or something. Yeah. So here, that means that the popularity of tall buildings is linked to prestige. That means that people will give a lot of respect and admiration to the tall buildings. Okay. Yeah. Based on their popularity or the fame of that. Yeah. Okay, now the answer is C. Read that. Where? Yeah.
Buildings in West account for generates in particular. Building in the West account for 40 to 50% of electricity usage, generating substantial carbon emissions, and the rest of the world is catching up frightening rates. Shortly, glass, steel, and air conditioner skyscrapers are a symbol of status rather than practical ways of meeting our requirements.
So you have just read from line number 3, right? Buildings in the West account for 40 to 50% of electricity usage, generating substantial carbon emissions, and the rest of the world is catching up at a frightening rate. Frightening rate. That means that the rate is really, scary or really high. And short regards glass, steel, and air-conditioned skyscrapers as symbols of status rather than practical ways of meeting our requirements. Now, explain them. Why do you think that is the answer? What? Guys, first of all, tell me, short, what does that mean? Yeah, do you agree?
Yes. It's mentioned.
Guys, do you agree with her? Why? Where? Nga, tell me. Thư. Tell me. Where? Why? Hương. All of you said yes, you agree with her, and you don't know where that is? Really? So you trust her that much? Really? Just because she said, oh, short is the name. She said, yes, I agree. Agree of what? If you don't know, then at least you have to say, well, I don't know. I don't think so. Or, well, I don't know. I cannot find the information. How can you agree with her without knowing the answer? Just because she's your friend? She's your friend or what? Huy, now tell me, do you think short is the name or what?
Because in the first line they write short points. This means short points out. This means short this means.
That's not enough. No. Because if you look at this, you say, well, short points out, right? Yeah, it can be the answer, but it can be, yeah, it can be a person, or maybe that is the abbreviation of an organization or something, right? Otherwise, if we think this is an adjective, then it's all wrong. Why do you think, or why do you know that short is the name of a person? Yes, from the first paragraph, the first line, you see the recovery of natural environments in architecture by Professor Alan Short. So Short is the name of the professor. You see that? So we don't guess here. We don't try to guess anything here. Okay? You can always find information somewhere. And don't just agree with your friend because she's nice or whatever. You have to search for the information and then you say, yes, I agree or I disagree. Or at least you say, well, I don't know. I have no idea. I cannot find information. Don't just say yes because she says so. So here you see Professor Alan Short. So that Short is the name. And later you can see the word short everywhere. So why I asked you that? Because I don't want you to misunderstand. You think, oh, short is an adjective or something. Then it doesn't make any sense at all. Short, that is the name of the professor. Okay? Okay, someone please explain this one to me clearly. Đây là một trong những lý do tại sao có nhiều bạn làm test rất nhiều mà cái điểm các bạn không tăng. Đó là tại vì các bạn làm xong các bạn chỉ coi biết điểm chơi thôi, chứ bạn không hoàn toàn hiểu tại sao mình lại cần phải trả lời như vậy. Ok, nếu như mà vậy thì cho dù các bạn có làm liên tục 10 cuốn như vậy mà bạn không hiểu tại sao là vậy thì cũng vô ích thôi. So short points out that rồi các bạn mình đọc lại cái paragraph C, section C. Okay, and try to understand here. They say that a suggestion that the popularity of tall buildings is linked to prestige. Actually, prestige in this case it means status. Okay, prestige means status. So short points out that to make most contemporary buildings habitable, they have to be sealed and air conditioned. The energy use and carbon emissions this generates is spectacular and largely unnecessary. Buildings in the West account for 40 to 50% of electricity usage, generating substantial carbon emissions, and the rest of the world is catching up at a frightening rate. Short regards glass, steel, and air-conditioned skyscrapers as symbols of status, rather than practical ways of meeting our requirements. That means short things. Can someone explain the last sentence to me? What does that mean? The last sentence. Hả? Đâu? Trời ơi. What? Do you understand the whole section? Yes or no? Đâu bạn nào hiểu hết cái section này hoặc là bạn nào muốn thử nói thì nghe. Doesn't matter, right or wrong, doesn't matter. We are learning, guys. Can you try? Yes, just give it a try. The whole section. Make sure you understand the whole section. Tell me, someone. Yeah, from the beginning until the end, because I think it's a little bit hard to just explain the last sentence without understanding everything. Okay. From the beginning, yes, from the beginning. Try with English first, and then if your friends don't understand, then we can try with Vietnamese. But first of all, English first. Now, the first sentence, short points out that to make most contemporary buildings habitable, they have to be sealed and air conditioned. What does that mean? Trời ơi, nói lớn lên thầy không hiểu là tụi mấy đứa nó ngồi dưới nó có nghe không, chứ con cứ lý nhí hoài làm sao mà mấy bạn hiểu. Đừng giải thích cho thầy nghe, các bạn hãy giải thích trên tinh thần là cho các bạn mình nghe, thầy biết hết rồi, không cần giải thích cho thầy nghe đâu, không cần giải thích cho thầy nghe. You understand? Giải thích cho bạn mình nghe đi. Go. Mm-hmm.
This building is set up like open the window, like seal, like close the door,
Yeah, kind of. Short points out. I mean, the short, like we can just simply say short says that, or short thinks what, or short try to convince people of what, that to make most contemporary buildings habitable. That means to make the most modern buildings to be able to live in. Okay, that means make sure if people want to live in the most modern buildings, what do we need to do? They say that they have to be sealed and air conditioned. That means all of the buildings must be sealed. That means must be covered by something, like normally glass, okay, windows or glass or whatever. That means that it must be covered everywhere. It cannot be an open area. It must be sealed. And then what? Air conditioned. That means inside the buildings we need to put air condition there. Okay? Nha, có nghĩa là để cho các tòa nhà mà có thể ở được, tòa nhà hiện đại đó ở được thì làm gì? Trước hết là nó phải được phong kín lại hết. Thì thường là bây giờ nó sẽ bật, bạn thấy mấy tòa nhà nó sẽ bọc kín, bạn thấy không? Nhá. Thì nó đây là be sealed, là xung quanh là bọc kín hết. Và gì nữa? And air conditioned, và lắp đặt hệ thống điều hòa. Ok. Đó là ông này ông nghĩ như vậy. Để tiếp theo là gì? Tố Yên. The energy used and carbon emission. Go. Read that and explain it.
The energy used and carbon emissions
Mm-hmm.
is spectacular and largely unnecessary.
Yeah. The energy used in carbon emissions this generates is spectacular and largely unnecessary. What does that mean?
The amounts of energy that we use and the carbon that we
Released.
release unnecessary.
Yeah, largely unnecessary. Spectacular, what does that mean? In this case? It means a lot. Spectacular, that means a lot. In this case, yeah? The energy use, here we are talking about the energy use of what? What? Wait, the energy use of what? Because here they say the energy use and carbon emissions, right? Of what? Of what? Yes, very good. Of contemporary buildings. The energy use and carbon emissions of the most contemporary buildings. Ở phía trên ta mới nói đó. Okay? And what? This generation is spectacular and largely unnecessary. That is, they use, that means that these contemporary buildings, they use a lot of energy. Okay? And also they release so much carbon and short things that is spectacular or that is too much and largely unnecessary, and he or she doesn't think that is necessary at all. Most of them are kind of useless. Okay? Tức là mức năng lượng tiêu hao và cái việc thải ra khí carbon đó là ông nghĩ là quá nhiều và phần lớn là không cần thiết. Ok, tức là thải ra một cách vô tội vạ và không cần thiết. Ok, mà những tòa nhà này đang sử dụng đó. Alright guys. Yeah, rồi next one, Thiên Nga.
Building in the West accounts for 40 to 50% of electricity usage, generating substantial carbon emissions, and the rest of the world is catching up at a frightening rate.
Yes, buildings in the West accounts for 40 to 50% of electricity usage, generating substantial carbon emissions, and the rest of the world is catching up at a frightening rate. Now, explain that.
Building in the West use 40 to 50% of electricity and
What? Thư, can you explain that? No. Hương? Yeah, just try to say something. It doesn't matter. Go.
buildings in the West is an example for using a lot of electricity
Yeah.
and
How many percent?
40 to 50%.
Yes, that means that the buildings in the West are using 40 to 50% of electricity. Okay? Okay? What else?
And substance like carbon.
Yeah, substantial. What does that mean? What? A lot. Substantial means a lot, yes. Carbon emissions. What? Why? Or what is generating substantial carbon emissions? What? Cái gì generating substantial carbon emissions, guys? Yeah, buildings in the West, right? So buildings in the West accounts for 40 to 50% of electricity usage. That means buildings in the West are using 40 to 50% of electricity. That's a lot, like 50% of the whole world already. You understand? And they are generating substantial, that means a lot of carbon. Okay? So generating substantial carbon emissions. And then what? Go on. Không? The rest of the word. You know, you understand the rest of the word? Our what? Yeah, other countries. Yes, not the buildings in the West, but now the rest in the world we are talking about all of the other buildings, not the buildings in the West. Okay? Yes. Each catching up at a frightening rate. What does that mean? Yeah, catching up. That means the buildings in the West account for 40-50% of electricity users. So that means that the rest, that means the other buildings in the world now, they're also trying to use a lot of electricity as well, right? And also they are also generating or releasing substantial carbon, just the same as the buildings in the West. Okay? Từ ngày xưa chỉ có buildings in the West vậy thôi, còn bây giờ thế giới đang bắt chước làm theo và coi như thằng nào cũng có air condition, ok, và nào cũng sử dụng rất nhiều electricity và giải phóng rất nhiều carbon. Yeah, so that's the meaning. And the problem is at a frightening rate. Frightening rate, that means really fast. Okay? Frightening rate. Rate, we are talking about the speed, right? At a frightening rate, that means, oh my, at a scary rate, it's so fast. That means now all of the buildings in the world, now they are using a lot of electricity and they're releasing or generating substantial carbon emissions. Not only the buildings in the West anymore, but now all of the buildings in the world, they are doing the same thing. Yeah? Got it? Rồi. Rồi bây giờ đến câu cuối nè, câu quan trọng nè. Huy đi.
Short regard class skill and condition and skyscraper as symbol of status rather than practical way of meeting our requirements.
Yes. Short regards class, steel, and air-conditioned skyscrapers as symbols of status rather than practical ways of meeting our requirements. What does that mean?
This means short thing, class, steel, and air-conditioned is skyscraper.
As symbols of status. What does that mean? That means someone else. Nhi. What? Respect. Yeah, say it again. So what? Why? What? Yeah, that means like, yeah, you guys almost there. So short things, yeah, short regards, class, steel, air conditioned skyscrapers means that short things that the skyscrapers with glass and steel and air conditioned inside or the skyscrapers, which are built by or with glass, steel, and air conditioned. Okay, they are there. And they are just the symbols of status. I mean, when they are built, not to meet our requirements, but they are there just to say, oh, this is a very rich city, or that is the symbol of status. I mean, this city is really rich, just to make sure that is the building is really good and show the prestige or something like that. And people should admire that building. People should kind of respect that building, because it's really big. It looks really spectacular, powerful, things like that. And that is the main reason for those skyscrapers. And the skyscrapers are not there to meet our requirements because maybe we don't need all of that. You understand? Ý là gì? Nó chỉ là cái biểu tượng thôi. Ông này ông nghĩ là những cái tòa nhà chọc trời mà được xây bằng kính rồi sắt thép hay là có điều hòa này kia đó, những tòa nhà chúng ta thấy hiện giờ. Bây giờ bạn tưởng tượng giống như Vinhome hay là gì đó, vân vân, ví dụ này. Ok, they are just symbols of status, tức là chỉ là biểu tượng để cho thể hiện cái vị thế thôi. Ok, chứ nó không có nhằm mục đích gọi là meeting our requirements, tức là đáp ứng những cái yêu cầu đòi hỏi của chúng ta. Ok, ý của ông Short này là như vậy nhé. Vậy thì sao trong đây người ta nói là gì? A suggestion that the popularity of tall buildings is linked to practice. I mean the suggestion that the fame of some skyscrapers is connected to status. Prestige, in this case, you can underline that, you can write status there. Sự phổ biến của những tòa nhà, ý nói là càng ngày càng có nhiều tòa nhà cao tầng nha các bạn. Tại sao nó là ý ở đây? Cái câu này toàn bộ ý là gì? Người ta đã ám chỉ đến là càng ngày càng có nhiều cái tòa nhà cao tầng này là bởi vì liên quan đến tính biểu tượng thôi, tính vị thế thôi, chứ không phải là nhằm mục đích tức là để đạt được những cái yêu cầu của chúng ta, được không? The popularity of tall buildings here, you understand that is we have more and more we have day after day we have more and more tall buildings like that, and they are built as a symbols of status, not to meet the requirements. So here in this case, the popularity of tall buildings, it is kind of similar as what? Like the rest of the world is catching up at a frightening rate. Okay? Buildings in the West account for 40 to 50% of electricity usage, generating substantial carbon emissions, and the rest of the world is catching up at a frightening rate. That means now, so that they are talking about the popularity of tall buildings. And then what? They say that the popularity of these tall buildings is connected to status. Here they say short regards glass, steel, and air-conditioned skyscrapers as symbol of status, rather than practical ways of meeting our requirements. Đó. Cái câu số 2 khi người ta dùng đến chữ phổ biến, the popularity, tính phổ biến của những tòa nhà cao tầng, ý nói là càng ngày càng có nhiều những tòa nhà cao tầng như vậy. Ok, và lý do tại sao ngày có nhiều tòa nhà cao tầng như vậy đó là tại vì nó có liên quan đến tính biểu tượng, thể hiện vị thế. Ok, thì ở trong đây ông cũng có nói đó là mang tính biểu tượng thôi, tính thể hiện vị thế thôi, chứ không phải là nhằm mục đích là thỏa mãn được những cái yêu cầu hay nhu cầu của người dân. Ok, so that's the meaning of this part. It's really good. So you can mark that one and you can write number 15. Bởi thì nói đọc cái này mà để cho các bạn hiểu hết toàn bộ là rất ấy nha. Có cái nào dễ mình đi thôi, chứ còn mình mà đi kỹ từng cái thì chỉ có hết giờ, không có thời gian đâu. We don't have enough time for all this, so we try to go fast. Alright, 16. Yes. Yes. a comparison between the circulation of air in the 19th century building and modern standards. And the answer is E, right? Okay. So that means that a comparison between the circulation of air in the 19th century building and modern standards. They compare the circulation of air in those two types of buildings, the 19th century building and the modern one. Okay? The answer is E. Section E. Where's that?
The first one.
Mm-hmm.
We discovered that 19th century hospital wards could generate up to 24 images an hour. That's similar to the performance of a modern-day computer-controlled operating theater.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So the first sentence here, right? We discovered that the 19th century hospital walls could generate up to 24 air changes an hour. That's similar to the performance of a modern day computer control operating theater. We believe you could build walls based on these principles now. Yeah, okay, so they say that they make a comparison here, right? Between the circulation of air in the 19th century building. So we are talking about here we have the 19th century hospital walls. Do you know walls here? What does that mean? Walls means circulation of air? No. Walls. I'm talking about walls. What does that mean? Someone else? What does that mean, guys? Like some large rooms in a hospital. Okay? Of course, not just for fun. We are talking about hospitals, right? So some large rooms, and into which a hospital is divided, usually with beds for patients. So we have some large rooms, and those rooms will be divided, and then they will put a lot of beds there for patients. Okay. Phòng bệnh hay là phòng khám bệnh hay là phòng gì đó nha bạn, chứ không phải là phòng chơi đâu, không phải phòng ăn gì đâu nha. Wards, phòng bệnh ha. Yeah, so here they say that they could generate up to 24 air changes an hour. That's similar to the performance of a modern day computer control operating theater. So we believe you could build walls based on these principles now. So here they said those two are very similar. Okay? So that's why the answer is A. All right, number 17. Yeah, how short tested the circulation of air in the 19th century building? What's the answer? D, right? Okay. Well, before that, for number 16, I think we need to mark the other part. You need to mark from we discover blah blah until principles now, and then you can mark number 16 there. How short tested the circulation of air in the 19th century building? Okay, this one is not hard, easy. D, where's that?
The second paragraph.
Yeah.
We spent 3 years digitally modeling buildings' final design. Say short. We put pathogens in the extreme models for someone with tuberculosis coughing in the ward, and we found the ventilation system in the room would have kept all the patients safe from harm.
Yes. Yeah, we can see some important words there. I hope you can recognize that. Yeah, we spent 3 years digitally modeling buildings' final designs. As short, we put pathogens in the extremes model for someone with tuberculosis, TB, coughing in the walls, and we found the ventilation systems in the room would have kept other patients safe from harm. Here they say, they only explain the word pathogens for you, right? Microorganisms that can cause disease. Okay? Alright, now tell me, how short tested the circulation of air? Yeah, tested. How? I mean, they explain the way short tested the circulation of air, right? How? What's the way?
They spent 3 years digitally modeling.
Yeah, actually, yeah. To be specific, they what? They put pathogens in the air streams. I mean, they put microorganisms that can cause disease. Okay, can cause disease in the air streams. Model for someone with tuberculosis, coughing in the walls, and we found the ventilation systems in the room would have kept other patients safe from harm. I think to understand this one completely, you need to read from the beginning of section D. Read that.
Short books highlight developing and certificated art and science of ventilating buildings through the 19th and early 20th centuries, including the design of ingeniously ventilated hospitals.
Yes.
Of particular interest were those built to the design of John Shaw's building, including the first John Hopkins Hospital in the U.S. city of Baltimore.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, Shaw's book highlights the developing and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah, including the design of hospital interest for those built to the blah blah. Okay. Now, explain it to me now. After reading this, explain it to me. The circulation of air is the same as what? The circulation of air is the same as what? Guys, tell me. The air streams? What else? Yes, ventilation systems. You will see these words a lot. Ventilation systems. That is the like the AC system. Okay, like almost like that. Hệ thống thông gió đó bạn. Okay. Ventilation systems. So it's kind of similar as the kind of the circulation of air. In the 19th century building, yes, here we are talking about 19th century buildings here, blah, blah, yeah, okay. Now, the way to test is what? Can someone explain this? Yeah, yeah, and also the whole sentence there. Yeah. Trời ơi, dùng năng lượng trong cái giọng nói của mình đi, dùng năng lượng đi, trời ơi. Tuberculosis. Yeah, so here's the way. They say that we put pathogens, that is the microorganisms that can cause disease, in the airstreams. Model for someone with tuberculosis, TB, coughing in the walls, and we found the ventilation systems in the room would have kept other patients safe from harm. Okay, now, so that's the way. And can someone explain that sentence to me? Yes. What does that mean? Đâu bạn nào giải thích nghĩa cái câu cuối cùng này? Tell me. Yes, of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of 50%. Someone else? Guys, Okay, now let me explain that to you. So that means we put pathogens in the airstreams. That means that they put microorganisms that can cause disease in the airstreams. Okay, and then what? Model for someone with tuberculosis coughing in the walls. That means that the amount of pathogens they put in the airstreams is just the same as the amount of kind of bacteria or microorganisms spread out from someone with tuberculosis when they cough in the walls. Do you know someone with tuberculosis? Tuberculosis, what does that mean? What? Bệnh lao. Ok. Tức là những người bệnh lao. Coughing in the walls nghĩa là gì bạn? Ho ở trong phòng. Ý là mô phỏng theo, tức là họ sẽ bơm một cái lượng mà dạng như vi khuẩn á, vào trong cái luồng không khí vào trong cái phòng đó, tương đương với cái lượng không khí mà mô phỏng theo một cái người bị bệnh lao mà họ ho trong cái phòng á, thì nó sẽ ra lượng vi khuẩn giống như vậy. You understand? Tại giống như bạn mà vô bệnh viện bạn ngồi chung người bệnh lao, người ta ho một hồi là bạn lao theo luôn. You understand? Ok nha, tức là họ bơm một cái lượng dạng như một lượng vi khuẩn nhất định, giống như là một cái người bị lao á, người ta mới ho ra trong phòng á. And then what? And then they found that the ventilation systems in the room would have kept other patients safe from harm. That means that the ventilation system was really good. It could help the other patients in the same room safe. Okay? That means that they will withdraw, they will suck up all of the microorganisms or the pathogens in that ventilation system, and then they can protect the other patients. Got it? Yeah. Tức là họ test bằng cách là họ bơm vi khuẩn vào trong cái luồng không khí đó, và lượng này thì giống như là một cái lượng không khí mà một người bệnh lao mới ho xong trong cái căn phòng đó, thì họ thấy rằng là cái hệ thống không khí này không khí này họ có thể bảo vệ được những người bệnh nhân khác, chứ không đến độ là gây ra cho những bệnh nhân khác bị bệnh nghiêm trọng giống như người kia. You understand? So that's the whole meaning of this. Okay? Yeah. So the key word here is something like tuberculosis and ventilation systems. You need to try to memorize them all, because you will see them again in many other tests. Okay? Rồi 18, right? So this is the last one of this part. Yeah. We still have more, but that is another type. Okay, 18. Thư.
The implication that advertising led to the large increase in the use of air conditioning. B.
Air conditioning, yes. The answer is B, right? B. Okay, you can mark that one B. But wait, before that, I think you should mark for number 17 as well. 17. Okay, for 17 you can mark from we spent 3 years blah blah until safe from harm. Yeah, so that's part answering number 17. Okay, so now we move on to 18. An implication that advertising led to the large increase in the use of air conditioning. Paragraph B. Okay, which one?
B. To
Yeah.
second paragraph.
Yeah.
Instead, he shows it is entirely possible to accommodate natural ventilation and cooling with the large buildings by looking to the past,
Mm-hmm.
to further widespread introduction relentlessly and aggressively marketed by the inventors.
Yeah. Instead, he shows it entirely possible to accommodate natural ventilation and cooling in large buildings by looking into the past before the widespread introduction of air conditioning systems, which were relentlessly and aggressively marketed by the inventors. Yeah, but that, again, it's just his theory, because now these days people don't care anymore, they just use the AC. Okay? Now, tell me. Advertising led to the large increase in the use of AC. Where? What? Advertising means what? Yeah, marketed. Yeah, relentlessly and aggressively marketed by the inventors. So we are talking about advertising here, right? And then what? Large increase in the use of AC. Where?
Relentlessly and aggressively.
No. Relentlessly and aggressively marketed. That means that they just market a lot and frequently. That's it. It doesn't mean, it doesn't relate to the large increase in the use of AC. No. The large increase in the use of air conditioning, where's that? Large increase? What? Yes, the widespread, okay, the widespread introduction of air conditioning systems. Yeah, the widespread introduction of air conditioning systems, that means the large increase in the use of air conditioning. Okay? All right. So you can mark that one and you can write number 18. Okay. Alright guys, we can take a short break.